In today's episode, I interviewed Megan Harper, a mom of three and the face behind a famous Instagram account, Girl Gone Child in NYC, which has now changed to Girl Gone Child since at the time of this recording, she was literally in the middle of moving into her new house in Charlotte, North Carolina, straight from New York City. Like, literally, we stopped the recording because the internet guy had to shut off the internet to finish the installation. Since we recorded this episode, a lot has changed in Megan's life. She's no longer the head of product growth for Tinybeans and Red Tricycle, and instead, she has recently launched her own marketing agency, helping kid and baby brands with their product launches. And in true Mommy's on a Call podcast fashion, this episode is filled with kids screaming, husbands walking in, and nursing babies. This episode is a perfect snapshot of what real work from home during a pandemic mom life looked like. Megan and I had a real, honest, unfiltered, and unapologetic conversation about the struggles of motherhood and managing a career. I hope you enjoy. Welcome to Mommy's on a Call, your sacred space to laugh, learn, and feel like a real grown-up human for a hot minute. I'm Stephanie Uchima Carney, a mom of 3 under 6, serial entrepreneur, business strategist, and donut connoisseur, just trying to get through the day one cold cup of coffee at a time. I believe that with more intention, a positive mindset, and self-care, it is possible to thrive in motherhood, business, and life. My mission is to uncover the daily rituals, life lessons, real-life tactics, and favorite tools to inspire and empower you, mommy, to get the most out of life every single unpredictable day. So grab your headphones, tell your kids you're on the potty, and tune in weekly for some laughs, knowledge bombs, and plenty of real talk with real moms, and maybe a dad or two. Welcome to the Mommy Pod. Welcome back to Mommy's on a Call. Today, bringing to you Megan Harper. She's a mom of 3 kids, head of product growth for Tinybeans and Red Tricycle. Before kids, she was a trained sommelier and worked at some of the top restaurants in New York City. After her son was born, she left the restaurant world to work in startups and make her name for herself running her funny Instagram, Girl Gone Child in NYC. It showcases the life of an ex-party girl turned young mom navigating her life in New York City, being a working mom and trying to have it all. And I wish we were doing this over a glass of wine, but instead we'll settle for coffee. So welcome, Megan.
Hello, Stephanie. It is so great to be here.
So I wanted to start off and ask, what is the biggest mom win of the week? And I know it has been a crazy week for you. So what is your biggest mom win?
My biggest mom win is we bought a house this week. I am a first-time homeowner because I have been renting in New York City for the past 14 years, and the pandemic has had us move to Charlotte, North Carolina, which I'm excited about. We actually bought a house for the first time, which is just wild. I'm in my early 30s, and I had never been a homeowner before, and it's really exciting to have a house now and not just an apartment for my kids to run around.
That is amazing. That is a big accomplishment. And it has space for all your kids to run around, which I'm laughing right now because this is the perfect kind of setting right now for the podcast because your kids are running around. There's like chaos and everything going on. I love it.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I work full time, and every single person I work with has seen my kids at some form. Like no one, they just kind of run amok. And we are in a pandemic, and we didn't have childcare in our New York City. We didn't have childcare for the past year, so it has been kind of wild. And this Mommy's on a Call podcast is hilarious because I scream this at my children all day, every day.
It's why I named it.
Because I'm on a Yep, and Mommy's like, I'm like, can you wear clothes, please? Because Mommy's in a Zoom and they can see you.
I'm either yelling like put pants on or like hold on one second, my like son has to go poop or something like that, because it's always like, Mommy, I have to go to the bathroom, or like, why aren't you wearing clothes? Oh my goodness, get out of my Zoom. But I totally get it. So to give a little background, give us your family structure. What does that look like right now? How many kids you have, ages? What do you and your husband do since you both work from home? What does your family look like?
So my husband and I have been together for 15 years now. We actually met at a bar when I was in college. He was bartending behind the bar. And I was like, oh, cute bartender. And I was trying to get a drink and he was ignoring me. He called me a brat and told me I was impatient. And I actually went home with him that night. Anywho, we've been together for 15 years now. We moved to New York City right after we met. We had been dating for like a year. I moved to New York City and he ended up following me up here right away. We waited a couple of years. We did like, I think 5 years after being married, but I had my first son at 27. And I also have two girls after that. I had a little boy, his name's Huck. He just turned 7 2 days ago. I have a little girl who's her name is Griffin, but we call her Gigi. She's 4. And then I have Goldie, who just turned 2. My husband and I both work. My husband is a restaurant controller, which means he runs like the finances and like the day-to-day for a bunch of restaurants. His job is he can pretty much do it from anywhere. He'll have to fly back to New York a couple times a year probably. I'm head of product growth at Tinybeans and Red Tricycle. Tinybeans is a photo sharing app for families. We actually have 5 million families that use our app, which is kind of crazy. We actually acquired Red Tricycle, which is a media site for things to do. And it's in like 10 cities in the US. So you can go on and like find things to do in New York City that weekend for your kids and whatnot. For Tinybeans and Red Tricycle, we're actually working on a brand new feature that's in beta. It's really great. It's think TikTok meets Facebook mom groups. It's all through video and it's organized by like parenting hacks, activities, things to buy, products to do. And what you do in here is you come in and you can see other parents, like what they're buying, what they're doing, and things that they're using to make their life easier. It's really great because I bought like 5 products that have been recommended to me. Everyone in there is either an editor or influencer, and they're really setting the stage of like what we're looking for in this group. But yeah, it's really much think TikTok videos, Facebook mom groups. If you mesh them together, that's really what we're building, and it's really starting to come together. And it was this idea we had back to like really get the Tinybeans families talking to each other, because the way Tinybeans is, you upload a photo right now, and then it sends out to your immediate family. It's like a social media, but just
so instead of using like iCloud or something, and it instead of uploading all your photos, if you don't have an Apple phone, you could use Tinybeans.
Yep. You can go in, you can upload. I use it as a photo dump. So I put up all my photos where like on Instagram, I post like the cutest picture of the day. Tinybeans is a place for like all the pictures that I took that day, even if they're not, Instagram worthy, they can still go on Tinybeans, and just my family and like my immediate friends will see them. Yeah. It's like an OnlyFans group for a kid. Like the OnlyFans site. It's
Yes.
like that. It's like that before your kid.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Minus the porn aspect of things,
Yeah, without that aspect. But think like, you have, I was 27 when I had my son. I was like the first one out of all my friends. And like, I didn't want to spam them with my baby pictures of my kid all the time. And like, my mom wanted to see it. So like, I would still post it. So, it kind of alleviates that. But, the new feature we're building is connecting all the parents that are inside the app. We're connecting them together. So if you see a sippy cup, it's like really cool. Like tell the rest of the group inside of here. That's really, if there is a kids show that your kid can watch an episode 15 times in a row and it doesn't make you want to start drinking at 3 p.m., like tell other parents. It's really a mentality of like a New York City, see something, say something platform.
I love that. What are the 5 products you said that you saw and you bought?
So the favorite one that I got was my boss actually posted. He has 3 kids and 1 on the way. He had this reindeer antler game that you played around Christmas time. So like you put it on, and then it was like beer pong, but with kids. So it was like this like reindeer antler thing, and then you tried to throw the rings to catch on the head. So that was the first thing that I bought out of it. The other one was this cup called Snacksies. It's a cup, but the top of it flips up, and you can eat snacks. So your kid can like have goldfish and like drink their cup and not make a mess. It's really good for cars.
Can they do that for adults too? Because I'd like that. It's like when you go to the wine and cheese thing at wine tastings and they have the plate that has like the wine glass attached.
Absolutely. Like that's exactly. Another thing that I actually bought was a Love Every toy that I saw someone was posting about. And I was like, oh, I love Every is like one of my favorite brands. It's worth the hype. It's worth the money. The hype is real. Like it is like probably like the best thing my kids can play with. And like, I feel like they're getting, the baby's like learning something while she's doing it too. And it's not a plastic toy and she's not sitting in front of the screen. I love that stuff. But yeah, like a lot of the products on here are just like, they're great. Like they're parenting products, but we also have a self-care channel in there. I brought some like, here, Skin Food by Walida. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this skin food stuff, someone in the self-care channel was talking about it, and my skin has been so dry from the weather in New York City for the past couple months. It's been like one of the best things that I bought. But it's thinking like everyone's an influencer inside of there. I mean, not just that, but like even like everyone can kind of go in. It's not really a place to like talk about. It's not like videos of like cute pictures of your kids or stuff like that. Like it's videos of like products you're using, crafts you're making, things you find helpful in your parenting life to kind of like push that all together, and it's in a video format. It's really great. I'll have to get you in the beta group.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wait list right now, but but I hold the keys to the castle.
You have a few connections, I think. So I want to transition into a little bit about the behind the scenes of your family life, because you have 3 kids, you're working from home, your husband's working from home. You said you have no childcare, plus you just moved. How are you doing this all?
So my son has been remote since March. He's in a charter school in New York City. And while some of the New York City schools were going back, charter schools cannot go back because charter schools in New York were going to, it's basically putting a bunch of kids in a bunch of different neighborhoods and they can't trace it. Can't trace when there's an outbreak. So that's why charters have been remote. He starts school, we just moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and he starts school next week, 2 days a week at the school down the street. We're not going to know what to do with ourselves. My 4-year-old has been private pre-K for the last few months, so at least there's been one of them out of the house. And to be God honest, she's the one that needs to be out of the house the most as far as us getting work done. And the baby just kind of runs amok around the house all the time. She's raising herself. So,
third child problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot. My husband, thank God, my work is very collaborative and I have to be on Zoom calls often. And I work on big teams. My husband is kind of a one-man show. So he is a much better teacher than me. So he's actually been homeschooling my son. He's been running point on all of that. He's done an amazing job. My kids like reading and doing math, and I feel like he's not behind things. Thank goodness. It's chaotic every single day. So mom's in the pandemic. I don't know, like we're all being superheroes. It's not easy. It's not easy for anyone. I don't know how. I mean, luckily I work for a parenting company and my bosses have been nothing but understanding. No one's put pressure on me to really like pull rabbits out of hats like it normally is. Like, you work in a startup, everyone does a lot, everyone works a lot, everyone, has all kinds of crazy jobs and crazy responsibilities, and your KPIs and OKRs are like really outrageous sometimes. But like for the most part, we just have to. They've been nice about like being reasonable and flexible, knowing that I'm home with 3 kids.
Yeah. Have they made any adjustments? Just talking about women in the workplace and moms in the workplace, have you seen any positive changes at your company or at other ones?
They let me move to North Carolina and they're flying me in bi-weekly to New York twice a month. So like that right there is like such a like they saw like how hard it was. They saw how hard it was for me, like living in an apartment, and like it's not necessary. Like you can work from anywhere. As long as you get your work done, who cares? Like I think also like this whole remote world, like the talent you can get by having the remote life is going to be amazing. I think, we're keeping our New York City office as a hub. Leadership will be there a couple times a month, but like for the most part, they've been really flexible with like letting us kind of work from anywhere. And also like I take off from 2:30 to 4 o'clock every day. I highly recommend other moms do this. So I would pick up my daughter at 2:30 from her preschool. I would take off for an hour and a half. So I was off from 2:30 to 4, no meetings. I blocked that on my calendar. That was my time for the kids before the sun went down. And I recommend doing that as like, a place for people to kind of like be by, I don't know, just have a little bit of like, parenting time. It's not just that. But then I'd hop on after work. After the kids went to bed and like kind of get my work done there too.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have like a structure in your day, like a work schedule, or is it kind of like do it when you can? And then also, do you schedule time for yourself? So you schedule time to be a parent, but do you schedule time for just yourself? Like, do you have any daily routines or things you do for yourself?
Not since the pandemic. No. Like, no, but then like, no, I don't, I'm so tired. I would rather get a few extra out. I don't. That's really sad. I used to. Before the pandemic happened, I love working out, and I did CrossFit every day. I'm not one of those people that like does CrossFit and talks about it all the time. But like I love CrossFit, and my gym doesn't even call it CrossFit because I think CrossFit's now like racist.
Yeah, they changed it. It was the name. I'm actually really happy. Back in the day, I had a blog called Cupcakes to CrossFit. So now I don't have that anymore. But
yeah, no. So I like working out. I just ordered a Peloton. It's getting delivered in 6 weeks. So I'm hoping, I don't even work out anymore. And like, I don't have time because it's like the thing that I think that people are thinking about with the pandemic is we have to feed those mofos 3 times a day. If they're home, we're feeding them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like that to, feed them and clean up and do all of that is like a job within itself. When people are like, oh, you're working from home with kids, that's horrible. But like, you're not just working from home with kids, you're homeschooling, you're feeding, it's so much work. And I think like reading all of these new articles that are coming out about everyone's feeling burnout, especially parents. What is the plan for like getting all these people like I don't know, some like help once this is over. Like, I feel like everyone's like mentally drained. I hate this word, but like the new normal is just like, you don't even realize how bad it is anymore. You know, we're like 4 days into our new house, and I'm just like, why didn't we leave the city like months ago? Like, I already feel happier, and I feel like we have space, and like I can breathe. Like, why didn't we do this like months
a year ago or like 6 months ago?
No, because I like, you know, everyone fled New York. Like, just living in the apartment, it was so hard. It was so hard. Trying to work was so hard. Just, you know, being able to have a little bit of space and like just telling the kids, go play in the backyard. It's like, you know, I didn't realize how nice it is.
I think you're going to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel soon. I think like being in a bigger space and having a little bit more time and having that like capacity, because if you get to send 2 of your kids to school, I think you as a mom will start to feel a little bit more rejuvenated. Do you do anything? I know you do some like clubhouse wine stuff and like some fun things, but how do you fuel yourself?
So I love my job. I get to be creative. That's kind of my creative outlet. I do love my job, but on Friday nights, you've actually been in them, but Julie and I, my like best friend, who's also the executive editor at parents.com, her and I do a Friday night wins and fails for mom group. And it's so nice just doing the SHIT with other moms. And we talk about our happies and crappies of the week. And it's just kind of nice. And like, sometimes it's okay not to have happies right now because it's really hard to have a win lately. Yeah, we drink wine and we chit chat and it's really nice. And like, that's my biggest thing. But Saturday mornings, I don't have this anymore because we moved my group of girlfriends. All of our daughters go to dance together and then we go for coffee. And that was kind of like the thing I looked forward to, which just sounds so sad that it's just that little coffee date with my girlfriends once a week kind of like made me feel better.
But it's like fueling your relationships and fueling you. So it's the little things. Yeah.
I still like my husband and he's my partner in life and he's a really great dude. He just said, you do. But yeah, I still like my husband and he, you know, if I didn't, he makes my life a little bit easier. Actually, he makes my life a lot easier. And just spending time with him after the kids go to bed, like keep me going.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you find time to fuel your own relationship?
It's tricky with 3 kids. 3rd kid will kind of break you. You have 3 kids.
I have 3 kids.
Once you're outnumbered, it's next level.
We always said like we only wanted to be man to man. And then once we became zone defense, we realized, what did we just do?
Right. It is very, very real. Like having that 3rd kid kind of like takes it to you're outnumbered. And like, you know, we fight to just be able to have time to ourselves, but like we're getting there again.
Let's flash backwards into the pre-kid life. You were a sommelier, you were doing this career. Why did you make this big shift? Just besides, having kids, you made a big shift from being, you know, in the restaurants, in, you know, that to now being in product and marketing. And how did you make that career shift? And why did you decide to pursue, I guess, a new career or stay in a career?
After my son was born, I realized that working in the restaurant industry and working the crazy hours and this like the late nights were just not going to be a fit for the mom that I wanted to be. So I left that and I actually helped my husband start up his business, which was called Backburner Solutions. And he runs, he's basically a controller service for restaurants. And I kind of helped him while he was getting started up and didn't really do much but work for him on the side. And then I started like realizing that I kind of had this little Instagram following that kept growing every single day. And I wasn't doing anything but just like showing, you know, my life and like being pregnant and like having a 2-year-old and like funny stuff. And like, I feel like humor really just kind of makes people happy. And people were following me and they kept following me. Like I was doing nothing for this. I wasn't even using hashtags. People were just organically finding me and I was showing like things to do in New York City. I was kind of like showing like fun things that my family and I did. Like that was kind of the way that this topics feature, this like community feature for Tinybeans came about. Like I was just showing real life and people were like excited to like learn about like what I was doing with my family and I was being real and raw and I talked about the good days and the bad days. Yeah. And I think that like once my Instagram started growing, Julia, who's executive editor at Parents, had me do a wine series for parents.com. Testing the wine for Targets. So Targets launched these $5 wines. And pretty much I shot a video doing like wine pairings with kids leftover food. So I was pairing like Pinot Noir with like goldfish crackers and like Chardonnay with macaroni and cheese. So basically like, here, your kid didn't finish her peanut butter and jelly. This is what goes really well with the peanut butter and jelly crust. And it got a ton of views. And I woke up, this video went live and the next day I woke up with like 5,000 extra Instagram followers. So it was kind of wild. I kind of like got big overnight. And then actually, so after that, I started working for Jenny Fleiss, who is the founder of Rent the Runway. She had started doing a startup called Jet Black. Jet Black was a startup from Walmart. So it wasn't really like a startup because startups don't have money, but this one had Walmart money. And I started working there, and I actually started working in the merchandising department, helping them like pick out products. And the idea of Jet Black was a text-based shopping service. So you text in, I need shoes for my 2-year-old, and then they would send you product recommendations through text, and then you pick 1, 2, 3. So I was helping that team kind of be like, oh, these are the hot products. This is what's happening right now. I do think that I'm in the know of like, I do like something that fuels me is like nerding out on like trends or like what's going on. I always have to have like the coolest product out right now. If there's a new stroller out, I probably already bought it, or I'm on the wait list for it. Or
I feel like we're kindred souls, only children with 3 little ones and who are always on top of trends.
I have to be like, I know, like, I don't know. It's just like a weird thing. I've always been like this. I remember when I was a kid, like I was always like into the know, like whatever was happening, especially in the shopping world. But I worked for her, did multiple jobs over there. I worked in product, I worked in marketing products, and then actually I left. I had 6 months paid maternity leave, which is beautiful. And Hey Mama reached out to me. Her name was SJ. She was the founder of Tinybeans. She reached out to me to grab a coffee, and they were looking for a head of marketing. And I had a coffee with her while I was on maternity leave with my 3rd kid. And I went to go work for them in November 2019, right before the pandemic. So,
wow. And how have you seen like all of this shift? So you like started working there thinking you were going to like be, in an office and all of this. Once the pandemic hit and all of this, what made you, I guess, stay in the career versus saying like, maybe I'll take my Instagram thing and build something?
So my Instagram thing is like kind of, it's my creative outlet. I don't really look at it as like I'm a bad influencer. I don't even use affiliate links. So I'm a bad influencer because I just don't have time. I have reward style. I should probably use affiliate links, but most of the time it's not that I don't want to do that. I like having my 401k. And, I like having my 401k, and I like my husband working for himself. Like we have really good insurance, and like mommy has the corporate job, and daddy does like freelance work and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of mommy does her thing, and the Instagram thing, I don't make much money off of it, I guess. I don't know. I never thought about wanting to do something on my own, but I like my Instagram thing because there are no rules. I don't monetize it. If I want to just pop off one day and like, I talk politics on it, I do whatever I want. Like it is my space to be me, and I want to keep it that way. And I feel like if I grew it anymore, I would have to like be careful about my audience. And like, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. This is my place, my space, and this is what I do for it. So
I love that because some people, it's either a business or it's just your personal thing. And so you just share your personal.
Yeah, my thing says just for fun, because it really is like it says girl gone child just for fun, because it really is, it's just for fun.
Yeah.
And I hope my kids can look back on it one day and like get a good laugh at like all the crazy stuff that we do.
So now that you see like all the other moms out there, working in their corporate jobs or working from home and things, what are some positive things that we can take from this to change moving forward? What do you think is possible?
You know what? I have not found anything beneficial from working from home. I mean, look, the remote life. I think remote work is great. I love being able to, wake up and, not have to get dressed. I don't miss the morning hustle to get out the door with 3 kids and go to my office. It's nice to kind of lay around in bed with my kids every once in a while. But for the most part, like, I think moms are really suffering. I think parents, not just moms. I mean, dads too, even though mom seems to take most of it. But I think we're all, like, especially with young kids right now through all of this, we need something. Like, if this is not working, I mean, I know some, like, the schools reopening might help, but like, we all need, like, I think like it's really been hard for everyone, especially if you have kids under 5, and even if you're homeschooling like a kid that can't read. Like, I think the problem with last year, like my son was in kindergarten, nothing was self-starting. Like, I had to sit there because he could not read yet. He was like barely 5 years old. I had to sit there. We had to sit there with him and like walk him through every step. Homeschooling him took 5 hours of our day. Like, parents are burnt out. We're not okay. I think the more, like, I don't know, I see some, like, if you're killing it during this pandemic, keep it to yourself as a parent, because like, I don't want, like, I don't know how. It's like the people that are walking out of this skinnier. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, how are you not eating string cheese every day, all day? Because that's all I do. But yeah, no, I feel like parents, like, I don't know. I don't know if Biden can give us all like a free vacation somewhere after this and watch our children for a week, that might help.
Yeah. What is the number one thing you're looking forward to? Like, what's the first thing that you want to do?
I want to take my kids to London and Paris. I want to go eat it like that's where my husband, like London's my favorite place on earth. I want to take my kids there because I wanted to take them there pre-pandemic, and of course that wasn't an option. I want to travel with them. I want to take them places.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Do you think now that you're down there, you're gonna hire some childcare to help, or do you think what you're doing is working?
Oh no! My youngest is already signed up for preschool. She starts in like 2 weeks. My son is going to elementary school starting Monday, and the middle child will be doing like a half day scenario for a pre-K.
Wow. What are you gonna do with a quiet house?
Have sex.
Perfect. I love it.
I mean, to be honest, we've spent the past year with kids running around. So yeah, that's gonna be the first thing we're gonna do. And then I think the other thing is like I don't even know what it's like to work without being interrupted every 5 minutes. You can probably hear the chaos in the background, but I don't even know what it's gonna be like to like work without the insanity. Like it's been nuts. It's been nuts. But yeah.
Oh, I feel for you.
And I feel like I just want to go to a bar and get rowdy. My husband and I love going to punk rock concerts. I want to go to concerts again. I want to take off my mom hat for a little bit and go dance on the bar. I don't know. I just need to go
let loose.
Yeah.
You need to go Megan Gone Wild.
I need to go Megan Gone Wild somewhere. I need to I don't know. All those TikTok teenagers are like 20-year-olds are talking about how they're gonna like go on the biggest epic vacation party. Like they're gonna have like the biggest spring break ever. You ain't got nothing on the moms. And like I want to throw a big party, like a big event for moms where we can just go somewhere and like we'll get someplace in like I don't know Cancun or Aruba to like sponsor it and like let's just go and like have a giant party. I'll get like a vodka or tequila company to sponsor it and like let's just go have a giant party and we'll all like post about it on our Instagrams. I think
kind of like a momchella type thing.
Momchella, like I'm serious. Like I would go to that. Like how much do I have to pay to go by myself with a bunch of girlfriends and drink tequila on a beach for like a week? That sounds great.
With no kids, like in your head just 24 hours of no like voices. Like I think the one thing in the pandemic that I got really good at was tuning them out.
Oh yeah. So I actually think that some of my coworkers that don't have kids are more bothered by my children than I am because they don't understand like why it's so chaotic in the background. They're like, it's just this is life. And I'm sorry if this bothers people, but I think they should see it.
Especially working at a company that is for families and parents.
Oh yeah, I mean my boss. So the CEO of our company has 4 boys. My boss has 3 kids and 1 on the way. It is very much like a kid-friendly environment. Yeah. And some of the other people on the team, like I think they're never going to have sex again because they see like what happens when you have sex and then you have all these children running around.
Yeah, they are amazing.
I mean, I'm still breastfeeding, and every single one of my coworkers has seen my boob at this point. So, sorry, I apologize. I don't know what to tell you.
So you have been pregnant or breastfeeding for like ever now?
I have gone from pregnant, since I got pregnant with my son June 2013. It is now 2021. So do the math. That's like 8 years of something feeding off me, either a fetus or a kid on my boob. Yeah.
Girl, you need a break.
I know. Yeah, I know. Like I'm almost done. And then I've been researching this 1 cup boob job. They take the fat from your thighs and just make your boobs a little bit perkier. 100%. I don't care if I get judgment. I am getting a breast lift because I had great boobs before this happened, before I had children, and I missed them. And I'm getting my boobs put back, pointing in the right direction. That is like job. That is my next big purchase is my boobs.
Oh, I never had them before. And then when I got pregnant and I started breastfeeding, I was like, these are amazing. And now they're gone again. And so
you gotta research that A cup. It's not expensive. And it basically just takes some of the fat from your thighs or your belly and just put them in your boobs.
Ah, interesting.
They look great. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I was going to say, to wrap it up, what is your mom superpower that you gained once you became a mom that helps you in business or life?
What is my mom's superpower that I gained?
Yeah. What is a superpower that you gained you didn't have before you were a mom, but that you gained once you became a mom that helps you and makes you better at life or business?
So my superpower that I gained with becoming a mom, I think it's the ability to be flexible. This might sound weird, but like children don't fit into a box. All three of my kids are very different. They all require very different things. And if you come into parenting thinking that your parenting ways are going to be XYZ, they're not, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. And the ability, the type A-ness has got to go away, and you've just got to be flexible, and you've got to realize that your kids are people, they're human beings, they're not robots. Like they really, you just having that flexibility of being like, you think one thing's going to happen and then it can be completely different. I've just had to be really flexible and like realize that what I expected of motherhood sometimes isn't the case. Like they're little humans, and like you have to adjust. If you think that your kid's gonna go to bed at 8 o'clock and then you're gonna have like none of that's true. They're all different. You can sleep train all you want, and then like by the time they're 3, they can have a sleep regression or something, and the next thing you know, you're sleeping with them. You just got to go with the flow. You have to learn to go with the flow. And I feel like the flexibility has been my superpower, because I wake up some days and I'm like, what's going to happen today? Something different all the time.
And then lastly, which maybe kind of ties in with that, but if you had any survival tips for parents right now, what would that be?
Drink your coffee in a wine glass, because the muscle memory there is very relaxing if you're having a bad day. I drink cold coffee though, so hot coffee will not work like that.
I love it because you have, they can't see on video right now, but your wine glass with ice and coffee. And at first I was like, are you drinking?
No. No, and my husband, like, we have a very strict, we don't drink during the week. We only drink Fridays and Saturdays because there's too much going on. And I feel like parents too, these days, like everyone's like, it's slippery slope, because people are like, it's easy to like be stuck on with kids and be like, God, I need to drink. I've seen so many parents like it's a slippery slope with alcohol and a pandemic with children. So I have to set some boundaries for myself to know I'm not drinking. I'm drinking coffee in my wine glass.
Well, that's a good boundary. And where can we find you online?
You can find me at Girl Gone Child in NYC. And also, if you go to Tinybeans, you can download the Tinybeans app and sign up for the Topics beta. You can see me in there popping off all the time and giving all my mom hacks and all my mom advice and all the products my kids are using. So it's Tinybeans Topics waitlist. You can just Google it and check it out.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Mommy's on a Call. Your support means the absolute world to me. You can find the show notes for this episode and other goodies over at mommysonacall.com. And if you enjoyed this episode or have gotten value from the podcast, I would be so grateful if you could head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review so that we can reach and empower more moms all over the world together. Thank you so much again, Mommy Pod, and I will see you here next time.